Welcome to the Resilient Artist Podcast, your go-to space for wellness and success strategies tailored for musicians. Join us each week as we explore tips, tools, and stories to help you thrive in your music career while staying balanced and inspired. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to the Resilient Artist Podcast, where we explore strategies to help musicians thrive in both their personal and professional lives. I'm your host, Crystal McGrath, and I'm here today with my co-host, Rachel Joy Olson.
Hi, everyone. Rachel here.
Hey.
Yeah, so today we're going to look at a little bit of our new book, The Resilient Artist, Wellness and Success Strategies for Musicians. And we're going to go over some tips that we hope will help you set the foundation to allow you to balance your personal and your professional life.
Yeah, like building any business or career, building successful music career starts with a solid foundation. This involves understanding your passions, defining your unique personal musical identity, and setting clear goals. These are just a few of the steps we'll explore together in today's episode.
Yeah, so before we begin, if you already are one of the lucky people that have a copy of The Resilient Artist, we encourage you just to pull it out so that you can follow along and maybe jot down some notes and ideas in the worksheets that are provided in the book. If you don't yet have a copy, you can head on over to our website at artistwellnesscollective.com. There you can purchase an electronic copy, or find the paperback on Amazon. So now that you're ready, let's get into it.
All right, let's have a little fun today. What we want to do now is take a moment and reflect on some of your passions and values. Your passions are things that you really desire, that you are inspired by, things that have kind of been with you through your entire life. It might be an activity, an object, or even a concept. Your values are those things that you dream to be the most important things in your life, like the beliefs you hold or the non-negotiables.
Yeah, you know what? Some of us are kind of like, you might be thinking, yeah, I know exactly what these are for me. So I've spent a lot of time looking at core values. I keep my values personally really tight and close to me. One of my top values is integrity. I always find that, if I'm moving forward to accomplish any goal, I always look at that and go, am I in integrity in this decision, right? Do you have any values that you hold near and dear to your heart, Crystal?
Yeah, I have quite a few. The first one that's popping up right now, though, is honesty. So am I being honest with myself, and am I being honest with the people surrounding me? I think sometimes we can get stuck in doing things because we think we should do them, or we think other people think we should do them. And that's not in alignment with our authentic self. So authenticity, honesty, right, kind of falls in the same lane. But yeah, I think that's really, really important to really stay true to your lane and your path.
I love that. And especially as we start talking about a little bit about musicians and kind of balancing personal and professional life, I think staying authentic really for any musician is so key.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Because you are the only one like you. So it's so easy to be like somebody else or copy other people's things. But sure, you can be inspired by other people's things, but find a way to make that authentic to your lane and your path and your values, right?
Absolutely. And, it might not always be easy to define your passion and values. So we're going to go through a little exercise that might help you with that. So you might already know, hey, I'm passionate about music. Obviously, that's why we're here, right? We're talking to artists, we're talking with artists and developing that passion. So, but sometimes we may not always be clear on our values. So you can kind of look at your passions as, what kind of music am I passionate about? What aspects of music am I passionate about? Are there other passions outside of music that are important to me? Because I think as a musician, it's also important to recognize those things as well, right? Because you're more than just an artist.
Totally.
Right? So let's talk about core values. So core values are basically the things that you deem really important to you, as we mentioned. So here's just a few examples of what maybe your core values might be. So the first one is kind of prioritizing people over profits. Like you might always think, hey, you know what? People mean so much to me and they mean more to me than just money. And so people first might be your core. Truth, expressing your true self or authenticity, just like Crystal said. Maybe even freedom. Freedom is a big one. I think for those of us who are entrepreneurs or artists, I think we choose this line of work because we like to have a little bit of that freedom of expression, maybe freedom in time, right? Freedom to do the things that we love.
Totally. Freedom to work at 2 in the morning if you want. If you're a night owl and that's when creativity sparks, right?
Exactly, exactly. Maybe you love technology. Maybe you're somebody who's, really loves that the online stuff, the technology. Maybe that's important to you. Learning personal development, that could be a core value for you. Continuing to learn about music, continuing to learn about yourself, maybe a passion for learning about others, staying curious, being credible, honesty and sincerity, respect, purpose, family, money. There's so many core values that are can be important to you. So, in this moment, I would say if you again have the book or you have the worksheets or you don't, just pull out a piece of paper and grab a pen and maybe even pause the audio right now and say, all right, what are the top 5 things that are the most important to me? And then you maybe will have a set of core values, and your core values will help you guide some of the decisions that you make as an artist going forward.
Totally. And try not to think about it too much as well. Because I find when we overthink things, we get stuck and we can start to think, I don't know. This one's more important than this one. Try to just freestyle it. Just jot down whatever first comes to your mind. And I always find that helps when you are trying to discover, a little bit more about who you are as a person and as an artist. If we turn off the filter and just freestyle, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like the first thing that comes to your mind. Bam, what is it? Oh,
Totally.
right? Usually
Yeah,
it's what means the most to you is what's going to come up right away.
exactly. Exactly. So turn those filters off. So think about this podcast episode like a coaching session. As Rachel mentioned, feel free to pause the episode at any time, jot down your notes, and then pick it up where you left off. So now that you've created your values, we're going to talk about your unique musical identity. So a musical identity or artist persona goes beyond mastering an instrument, being an excellent singer, or copying your music idol. It's about crafting your own authentic on-stage or brand persona that's completely unique and leaves a lasting impression on your fans. So what does that look like? To define your identity, start by understanding your unique strengths, talents, likes, dislikes, and artistic vision. All right, we're going to go through a series of questions that come directly from the Resilient Artist book. So we're giving you a little sneak peek of what you get in our book. If you want to dive further into this, you know where to get it. Amazon.ca or our website, artistwellnesscollective.com. So again, feel free to pause this at any time to jot down anything that comes up for you, anything that's inspiring. And just, again, turn that filter off and let whatever comes up first to shine for you. So the first question is, what genre or styles of music do you feel most drawn to? So thinking on that, is it country, pop, rock, metal? It doesn't have to be the genre that you're currently in. So think about that. The next one goes into, who are your musical influences? This can stem back to your childhood. This can stem back to, today. It doesn't matter where you're pulling these influences from. They all have an impact on who you are as an artist. I sing country music, but I love everything from Lilith Fair. That is like my go-to music, even today. I love 90s female artists, the best.
Nice.
So think
And I
about that.
love 90s country the best.
Yeah, 90s country is awesome too.
Yeah, like 90s and 90s dance. 90s really pumped out some good music.
Like Much Dance 99 or 96,
Right?
I think was like one of the best. One of the best. If you haven't heard that, please go on Spotify or Amazon or wherever you listen to your music and check out Much Dance 99. That was a good one. I have lots of dances from that era. All right, and then we're going to move into, what personal experiences do you have that you can use to shape your music and unique artist persona or musical identity? So just jotting down any experiences in your life that inspire you to be the artist that you are today. What sets you apart from other musicians? Sometimes that's a little tricky because you start going into that comparison mode. However, just start to list off all the things that you do that make you you. Start to tune out kind of what other people are doing and really tune into what it is you're doing. And just by doing that, you're going to start to see what sets you apart by focusing on you, not other people. That's really important. Then, do you have a community or safe space where you can experiment with your musical identity and receive feedback? If so, who or where? If not, write down some ideas of how you can create this safe space. If you're looking for a safe space, the Artist Wellness Collective is a beautiful place for that. You can find us in our free Facebook group. So check us out or feel free to DM us with any questions if you're looking for that more musical online community. We're here for you. Identifying your strengths and weaknesses as a musician. How can you use these to find your voice as an artist? Who can you collaborate with, or who will challenge you and encourage you to evaluate your own performance style and develop as both a person and as an artist? Collaboration with other artists is a great way to explore parts of your artistic identity that you haven't been able to explore before, and to discover new perspectives and approaches to music and performance. So just thinking about who are you collaborating with? Who are you surrounding yourself? You know, they say you are a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So think about, who are you spending your time with? What does that look like? And do these people inspire you? Do you leave energized from the people that you surround yourself with, right? Are you leaving feeling drained and exhausted from the people you're around? I think that's really, really important for all of us to think about, is who are we spending our time with? We don't have a lot of time. And especially in today's society, I feel like time is just disappearing quicker and quicker. So really to make sure we're very mindful and purposeful with our time, where we're spending it, and making sure everything we're doing lights us up in some way, right? That's really important. And then the last one here is, where can you perform live to practice stepping into your artist persona and see what works and what doesn't in front of a live audience? So live shows are a great way to practice this, to practice what works, what doesn't work. Take what didn't work, refocus it, and use the reaction of your live audience as a guiding force to shape your musical identity. So just really taking what you've created, putting it out there, and seeing how people respond to it, seeing how you respond to it, I think is a big thing as well. Sometimes, you know, you can leave a show feeling like, that was amazing, that was the best experience I've ever had. And then sometimes you can leave a show when something just felt off. So figuring out, you know, why did today feel off for me? What was it that I did or did not do? So those are some things to think about.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. So now, so it's, as you can see from going through some of those exercises to develop what makes you unique as an artist, you might already know this, it might be clear. But now that you know this, and it's time to set some goals. And so you might hear that word. Sometimes people hear goal setting and they're like, oh, you know, I've heard that before. Maybe it's been beneficial for you. Maybe it hasn't in the past. But, you know, effective goal setting is critical, really. If you want to accomplish any sort of personal or professional success, it is so essential. And I found a quote, I mean, I've heard this quote numerous times, but I just brought it back up again. And it says, a goal not written down or one without a plan is just a wish. And this concept really emphasizes the importance of putting goals into writing, because it transforms them from really an abstract desire or a wish into real concrete objectives that can be pursued and that you can check off once achieved. You know, writing down your goals helps you to clarify them. It helps them become more tangible, especially if you write them down and put them on your walls to look at them every day. This will really increase the likelihood of success. I think there were some numbers years ago that said a goal is like 85% more likely to be accomplished if it's written down. That's pretty significant. Right. So so we talk a lot about this in The Resilient Artist as well. So our book, and it's all about how to create clear and attainable objectives or goals. And to do that, we encourage you to use what's called the SMART framework. Now, you've probably heard that numerous times before, but let's really break down what that SMART stands for. So first of all, S stands for specific. And that means that you are setting a goal with very clear parameters so that you know exactly what you want to achieve. You know, so instead of saying, oh, I just want to do this, you know exactly what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, how you're going to achieve it, and by when you're going to achieve it. M stands for measurable. This is where you're choosing some sort of metric that'll let you know when your goal has been achieved. Maybe it's a milestone you'll hit along the way. A is for achievable. This is basically looking at, is your goal realistic? So can you accomplish this goal that you've set for yourself within the boundaries of your own knowledge or skill set and even desires? Sometimes you might set a goal that, you know, you want to be, I don't know, what kind of example, Crystal, could we use that if you, let's say you want to be an NBA basketball player. And I just like to use this one because I remember a teacher of mine actually once used this. And he said, you know, really, if you set your mind to it, anybody can do whatever they want to a certain degree. Let's say if you're 5'1", you're not probably going to become an NBA basketball player, right?
Oh,
Height usually is something that you need. Or let's say you wanted to be a computer programmer. Well, there's a certain skill set that you're going to need. So is it in your capacity to be able to do
totally.
that, or not? Let's say you are a musician or let's say you want to be a singer, but it's just not in your wheelhouse. Maybe playing the guitar is better for you, right? So looking at, is the goal that you're achieving for yourself actually achievable for you? It does make it a lot easier if you are choosing goals that are achievable for you. Then relevant. So R is relevant, and that is, what is your why? Does this goal actually mean something to you? Because if you're setting goals that don't mean anything to you, they're not going to be accomplished, right?
Totally.
We want to set goals and work for things that actually are exciting to us and mean something to us. So if you look back and go, does this really vibe with me? Is this something that I really want? And the answer is like, no, maybe rethink it. And then the
That comes
final,
back to that honesty value, right? Back to your
absolutely,
values.
and
Yeah,
being true to yourself,
totally.
right? You might be looking at your goals going, is this something that I actually want, or is this something that somebody else wants for me?
That's big. Yeah,
That's a huge one, right? Because I think a lot of, it happens with a lot of parents, right? There's a pressure that I want my kid to be rich and famous, or I want my kid to be successful in this. Well, really, all your kid wants to do is, something very quiet and calm and maybe be a small town homestead farmer,
totally.
instead of,
And that's okay.
and that's 100% okay.
Yeah,
Like, right? Like, I think it's just really important that we, do what we want to do. So keep that in mind when you're setting your goals. Is this something that you actually want? Because it's okay to not. And remember, success looks different for everybody. I love going through that when I speak to my clients that, what does success look like for you? Success to one person might mean to just play the guitar every day,
yeah,
create and write a couple songs that only your dogs hear. That could be success, right?
totally.
Challenging yourself to just be creative in some way every day. It doesn't mean that you're, making millions of dollars and you're on a stage in front of, hundreds of millions of people. That's not success to some people, right? To
Totally. And
some
it can
people.
shift too, right? Like it doesn't have to stay how it is today forever. So success to you today might look different in 5 or 10 years, right? And just knowing that it can shift and be okay with that.
Well, haven't you found that though, that as you've gotten older,
Yeah.
even the goals and the things that you thought you wanted are not what you want anymore? I know it is for me, big time.
For sure. Things shift all the time, right? Priorities change, life circumstances change. Um, One thing for me, I thought maybe I'd be in a little bit of a different spot than I am now. I mean, growing up, I was always like, I'm leaving Calgary and I'm going to the big city. And yes, I did. I lived in Australia, I lived in Atlanta and Vancouver. And I ended up back here. And at the time, I felt like, oh, what a failure. Right. And I kind of like retreated for a while because, yeah, it was like, oh, I'm not successful because success to me when I was 15 years old was leaving this place and doing this and this and this. And I think when we get stuck in our past, version of success, that's when we can start to feel those failure moments and things like that. And then honestly, like moving back here was the best thing that ever happened to me. And all the things that I've done since then have been beautiful and amazing experiences. And I've still managed to, release music internationally and be successful and be still here in Calgary. So it is neat when you say, how things shift and change and what you thought you wanted once might not be what it is today. And I guess I just share that story to remind you that it's okay to shift your version of success.
It really, 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 really is. And actually, it kind of reminds me of a quote by the Dalai Lama that I have on my wall all the time. And it says, sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck.
Mm,
Right. And I love this quote because, I felt the same way, right? I've kind of gone, well, how come I'm not here? And I always thought I'd be there. And, I never did this, never did that. But that quote reminds me every day saying, something else. I mean, there's something else for you.
yeah,
You're being pushed towards a different door. You're being pushed to something else. And when I look back on all those things that I thought I wanted, I'm grateful that those things didn't come into my life, right?
right?
Because I wouldn't be as happy as I am now. So it's neat, isn't it? How we are guided. We're truly guided into where we're supposed to be if we can just kind of go with the flow and be open to it. And this is where I think that having our goals set is important, right? Having some timelines, having some ideas of where we're going to go. However, also being open to knowing that those things might change,
Yes.
right? So while you're setting your goals, making sure that you're setting those small goals, those short-term goals and those steps, because when you look at the big picture goal, that could change over time. But every single step you take is taking you towards your goal in some way. Now, maybe that big goal changes over time, but those small little steps are still getting you there. Like I do a lot of health coaching and training with people to improve their health and wellness. And I always say that to them, that those little small accomplishments, like I actually drank a little water today, or I put my running shoes on today and went for a
Yeah.
walk, those are big deals. Like, and they should be celebrated, because even if the goal of I want to lose this or I want to be this, changes, you're still ahead of the game and you're still those steps towards your goals. So nothing is ever a waste, even if things change in time.
So true. Yeah, that's absolutely celebrate the little things. And I think we forget to do that and we just get focused on the big things. And the little things are all tiny little action steps that take us to the big things. So we need to celebrate all of those so that we can manifest and pull in more of those big things that we're working towards, right?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah, and here, at the Artist Wellness Collective, we are all about balancing wellness with career. So, really making sure your personal well-being goals are set as well as your professional goals. So, things like making sure you are sleeping well, eating well, putting on the running shoes and going for a walk. Those are all very important goals. You might not really think about it when you're building out, your typical business plan, but our success strategy incorporates both business and wellness because we need both of those tools in order to be successful in either lane, right?
That's
So
right.
it's
And if you
really,
speak to some of the biggest and most successful people in the world, taking care of their mental and physical health is a priority, because otherwise they can't do everything else that they do.
yeah, exactly. I mean, how many of us have talked about being burnt out? You scroll Instagram and you see people talking about this all the time, and it's a real thing, and it's something that I think we're becoming more aware of as a society. But I've experienced burnout, you've experienced burnout, and I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you've likely experienced burnout or maybe sitting in it right now. And it's a real thing, and it's really important to have the tools in your goals, in your business plan, to be able to sustain your business plan by taking care of yourself. Because typically in this industry, you're probably doing mostly everything yourself. And until you get to a point where you can delegate and hire, you're going to be doing a lot of this work yourself. And that can easily lead to burnout if you're not taking care of your personal well-being. So it's very important to check in with your mental health, your physical health, your overall well-being, so that you can support these big goals that we're talking about here today.
That's right. Because achieving maybe a successful career, you've got all the money in the world, blah, 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 but you don't have health, you don't have happiness. I don't know. That's not really a big picture of success to me.
Totally. Totally. And you talk about the happiness thing, and I think sometimes we look at things like, oh, it's paying X amount of dollars, so I'm just going to sacrifice everything and do it. Like some people outside of the music industry, where it could happen in here as well, but just think about getting a corporate job that pays, $100,000 a year, but you have no free time, you have no time with family, you have no time to, spend with friends, do things you love, all those things. So some people will make those sacrifices thinking like, oh, well, I'm have financial well-being, but what about the other side of your well-being? What about that big circle, which we do discuss more in the book, but we'll go into that later. However, it's really important to find that balance.
Absolutely. And really, part of staying balanced, like as we already talked about, is staying flexible and adaptable, right? The music industry, as our lives, professional, personal, things are always changing,
Yes.
right? So, you're working hard, you're creating your music, you're building your career, in alignment with your goals, and all of a sudden, something happens and throws you off, right? Something happens, you get sick, something happens, and you got to take care of something else. Something happens and you're not able to. So I think it's really important for us to also remember that part of staying balanced, part of staying healthy is to also recognize when you need to have some compassion and kindness for yourself and
Hmm.
know when to pivot. Because sometimes, again, like we said, that universe might be nudging you to kind of go into a different direction that you didn't think you wanted to go in. And now all of a sudden you find yourself there. And, in the end, you go, this is where I was supposed to be.
Totally. And that's okay. I mean, you could start off as a solo artist and then, meet somebody that inspires you and start a band. And like for me, I never thought I was going to be in a band type project. And then I met Jared and we started Boy and Girl. And, this is our, I think, 15th or 16th year working together, which is wild. Like that wasn't part of my plan, right? But sometimes things just happen and go with it and ride the wave. And I think being open to being flexible with life because life isn't concrete, life is not static. Life is going to throw you something every single day. So be very open to what comes your way and just notice what makes you feel good and go towards that.
Absolutely. It's tuning into that intuition a little bit too to understand, okay, does this feel good? Does this make me
Right?
happy? And it's okay to chase that. It's okay to
Hmm.
chase happiness.
Yes, yes. I think we're just so programmed to follow a certain rule, set of ways of doing things, follow, our parents' footsteps, follow this person's footsteps. No, we don't need to follow anyone's. We're not robots, we're human.
Or
We,
societies, right? The
yeah,
society
totally.
says you need to be like this, you need to do that,
Yeah,
talking
no.
about robots, right? And many of us are not designed that way. We're just not designed to be robots. We're
No.
human. We're human beings. We have feelings, we have creativity. We, are meant to do that. So,
Yes. And that's why doing work like this, having these conversations, being inspired, is really important so that you can stay true to yourself and tune out all the hearsay out there. Yeah, and speaking of tuning out, I mean, as much as we want to tune out what's going on around us, we also need to sometimes take feedback to figure out what's working, what's not working. Feedback is a beautiful thing. I think a lot of times we hear, oh, you should do this differently or you should do that differently or, this was really great, but you could change this. And when we hear the negative stuff, we can often shut down, especially as creative beings, because we're very sensitive to these things. This is our heart and soul like out on the sleeve and we're being vulnerable to show up and share something, an expression of ourselves, a bigger expression of ourselves that, a lot of us don't share. And it can be kind of crushing when somebody says, oh, that wasn't very good, or you didn't hit that note right, or you should move around more on stage. As a performance coach, I love critiquing people because it helps make them a better version of themselves. I don't critique people to pull out the negative. We focus on the positives and we look at, okay, what's really working and what can we do better? Like, how can we elevate this performance? How can we elevate what we're doing to make it shine a little bit brighter? And, we're all students of life. And I think when we can show up as a student, we can take that advice, we can call it criticism, advice, feedback, whatever you want to call it. We can take that a little bit more gentle when we know we're showing up as a student. I am still a student. I still get coaching. It's so important. And I don't think I'll ever stop learning. And I will never stop asking for feedback because I continuously want to grow. And we don't need to listen to feedback and think, okay, that person's 100% right. Let's take everything they say and apply it to what we're doing. But it's more, let's listen to what people are saying, what's resonating with me, and think, oh, yeah, I could do a little bit better there. Or, drop your ego out the door. We don't need ego here. It's just about growth. And listening to feedback is one of the best things you can do as a person, as a student of life, and as an artist.
that's right. And even feedback or rejection can
Yeah.
often create resiliency, right?
Mhm.
Going back to the resilient artist, but it does create. I'm in the author world. I've written with Crystal a book here now and a couple of books on my own. But some of the authors that have inspired me, and I hear their stories, and some of them have said they were rejected like literally 100 times before someone said yes to their book, and all of a sudden it's a world renowned book that everybody knows. And I just think, wow, how many people would have kept going after even that first or second or third rejection. So many
Totally.
people would have just said, that's it, I give up.
Yeah, so just a good tip on that, like as an artist, if you're applying for shows and people keep coming back with no, or they don't respond, a good thing to do is maybe ask either that venue or somebody in your circle, hey, can you just look at what I'm sending out for my booking letters just to see if there's anything I can improve on? Having someone else's eyes on a project can really help you elevate, help you think outside of your own box because maybe something's missing from your EPK that you just had no idea. Maybe you're not using, the right industry language, all these little things. So there's lots of things you can get feedback on, but that's just an example.
That's right. Feedback is so important. However, you have to pay attention to who you're getting that feedback from as well, right? We want to make sure that you're not getting feedback from somebody who kind of doesn't have your best interest at hand,
Yes, 100%.
right?
Yes.
So just knowing who you're getting that
Tune
feedback
that stuff
from.
out. But
Yeah,
why it's
absolutely.
important to have a trusted circle and
Yes.
coaches and mentors. Yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? The most successful people in the world, again, if you look at some of those people, they also have coaches. Coaches that I've followed or hired myself in my own journey, professionally and personally, they also have coaches, right? That take them to their next level. I don't think we're ever too old. We never know enough to stop learning about ourselves
totally.
and getting better. It doesn't mean that we're not happy with where we are in this moment sometimes, but I think we can always improve as a human being or personally or professionally, don't you think?
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So let's move on a little bit when we talk about improving ourselves. One exercise I love to do personally and professionally is crafting a vision and mission statement. Now,
Mhm.
many businesses do this, but yet I think it's really important because as a musician, you're technically a small business, right? You're building your career, it is a business. And we like to say here at Artist Wellness Collective that know your vision and have a mission statement because these will keep you focused and inspired. So let's go over this a little bit. So, a vision statement outlines kind of your long term big vision. So, for example, a vision statement might sound like this: I will inspire and connect with people through music, fostering a global community that values creativity and emotional expression. So, this is kind of your big vision, kind of the impact you want to leave on the world. This statement really looks at the goal of using your art to create a positive impact on individuals and society as a whole, where a mission statement defines your purpose and the impact you wish to make through your music. So a mission statement for a musician is a real concise declaration of purpose that outlines your goals as an artist and the impact you wish to have on your community. So here's how we encourage you to create a mission statement. So you will also find a vision statement and mission statement activity and worksheet in the book as well. But here's just a couple of questions to ask. So again, while you're answering these questions, feel free to pause the video and take a moment just to think on this and reflect when you've got some time. So let's ask the first question. So what is your musical mission as an artist? What are you trying to achieve? What's your purpose? What's driving you? What's your driving force? Why do you do what you do? So there we go. We go back to that why again. A super important part of not only your goal setting, but really your mission in general. Why do you do what you do? There's got to be some sort of importance behind it. What keeps you making music? What keeps you singing? What keeps you playing? What keeps you writing? What are the things that do that? What inspires you? And what sort of contribution are you making to the world and why? Do you again, your mission doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be worldwide or world renowned. It can be very small. It can be very personal. Yeah, a sample mission statement for a musician might be my music is about empowering and uplifting individuals through soulful, organic melodies. I aim to create a community of artists who support each other's growth and success in the music industry. So, as you can see, the vision statement provides the big picture of what you want to accomplish, but the mission statement serves as your guide for making decisions related to your music career that, in hopes, will get you to your vision. And of course, this will help attract the right opportunities and the fans as you go along on your journey.
Totally. All right. So once we have your goals and your vision and mission statements, we can now move on to performing a SWOT analysis. So this is another tool that's used in business and should be used in your music business. A SWOT analysis is a strategic tool that helps you understand your current position, where you're at, and where you want to go. So the SWOT is SWOT. S stands for strengths. So this is all about what you're good at or what you do really well, such as your genre, your style of music, or your unique musical identity. So really just making a list of all of the things that you do well. W is for weaknesses, so the opposite of strengths. These are the areas where you feel like you need to improve on. Maybe areas that you're getting feedback on, that people are giving you advice on improving in certain areas. Maybe it has to do with your live shows. It could be with your business side of things, your marketing, just taking a look at your business as a whole. And then O is for opportunities. This pretty much explains itself. What opportunities are out there for you as an artist? Make a list. This can include things like collaborating with other musicians, making guest appearances on podcasts, and so on. So there's lots of different ideas and opportunities we could go on. This is a whole another episode. We could do a whole episode on opportunities, right? So we'll save that. And then the last one is T for threats. These are the things that could take you out of your game. So let's think about your wellness. Wellness is you're not taking care of yourself. You're knocked down. You're not going to be able to perform. You're not going to be able to, send the emails, make the calls, do all the things, record your music, your vocal health. If you're a singer, that's so important to make sure you're taking care of your vocal health, listening to your body, things like that. So just making a list of all of these things is going to help you see your business as a whole.
Definitely. Such an important aspect of just almost a business audit or a career audit.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing personally and professionally.
Yep.
So now that you've got your goals, you've got your vision, you've got your unique musical identity, you got it all set up, now it's time to put plans into action. So the easiest way to do this is to really go back and make sure you break down your goals into manageable daily steps. And then commit to taking consistent, deliberate actions towards achieving those goals and dreams. And, you can take a look in the book as well. When we talk about the wellness wheel, and we'll talk about this in future podcasts as well. Take a look at each one of those pieces of wellness. Wellness is social wellness. It's physical, it's mental, it's financial, it's all these different things. And take a look in each one of those areas and break down those small steps that are going to help support each areas of that wellness as you move forward in developing your career.
Totally. So setting a foundation, like all of the things we talked about today, is the number one thing you need to do. And it doesn't matter if you've been doing for music for 20 years or if you're just starting today. Always coming back to your foundation to make sure it is strong, because, just like cement out in the world, it can get weathered by storms, weathered by experiences, all the things. So it's really important to continuously come back, check in with your foundation, see what's working, see what's not working, and just stay consistent and resilient with your craft and what you're doing, and be okay with change, be okay with shifting your success version, be okay with shifting your vision, your mission, your goals. All of this is fluid, okay? So nothing that you wrote down today is static. It is not going to stay still forever. It is just where you're at today, and that can change in the future.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that you've got some value from today's podcast, and sadly, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. So thank you so very much for joining us on this episode of The Resilient Artist. And we really both look forward to reconnecting in our next episode. Until then, keep reflecting, stay resilient, and continue making the music that moves you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Resilient Artist Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, like, and share this podcast with your fellow musicians. Your support helps us grow and reach more artists just like you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Ready to take your wellness journey to the next level? Join the Artist Wellness Collective at www.artistwellnesscollective.com for more resources, community, and support designed to help musicians thrive. Until next time, keep creating and living your best artistic life.